So Jusant isn't going to be for everyone. There's no combat or action. It's more of a relaxing 5 to 6 hour journey where you go up a desolate tower, and along the way you can find artifacts of civilizations long gone. It's a really interesting story, I thought, actually. The gameplay wise, it's basically only up, but not nearly as rage inducing. It's way more serene and beautiful than that, and you're using like a little companion to help you out along your journey. And overall, like when I first started playing this game, I really didn't get into it at the start. So if you're not into it right away, I completely understand that. I had the same experience, but I would recommend giving it a little bit more time. So once I actually finally got into the loop of the gameplay, it might have taken me maybe an hour or so, and I kind of finally got into the way that I wanted to. You could just do things the way you want to do them, you know? And at the start I was like, I don't know, I'm not really vibing with this. But as you go and continue to learn the traversal movements, I think it gets really fun to try and get your way up this desolate tower that I was talking about. By the way, if you're wondering about the title Jusant, it's a specialized term used in certain maritime or coastal contexts, and it basically means the receding tide, and that will kind of make sense to you as you go through the story of why it's titled that. But yeah, let's get into the review. So yeah, as you start Jusant, you don't really know much about the world as you begin your journey, but you learn a lot more about these people and what's happened to the world as you climb up and find letters talking about relationships within the games, and seashells as well that give you memories of what happened at the specific location that you're at in the past. You kind of, it doesn't really show you anything, but you kind of just hear, like you hear like people laughing and like the splash of people jumping into the water and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. Just learning about the world in general as you go up and continue on your journey, I thought was super interesting. Like you're kind of left wondering what happened to the whole area that you're in, what happened to this desolate tower, because it seemed like it was so full of life before. And yeah, it kind of is a sad but ultimately heartwarming journey up this desolate tower. All right, I feel like I've said desolate tower a little too much now, so let's get back into the review. So I'm not going to do this like my normal reviews where I go through the playing, the plot, the people, the places, all that kind of stuff, because this game is a lot more contained and it doesn't really need that. So we're just going to kind of discuss the game and what I thought about it. It might be a little bit of a shorter review for sure, but overall I thought the game was really enjoyable. As I said, it does take a little bit to get into, but once I had finished the game, I was actually there like, wow, I actually like really enjoyed that. And it's a game that I played like while listening to a podcast or while watching a YouTube video. I kind of was just like had it on in the background, because the game, it doesn't need like your full attention. There's not that much of a story there. Obviously when you get to these certain things, you'll kind of want to read the letters. I feel like that's where the most of the story is reading these letters from Bianca, which is a specific character that has letters, and then there's also just more non-specific letters from people that were in the civilization that has been wiped out, it seems like, or at least moved on from the location that we're in now. Now in Jusant, there's 6 chapters. At the end of each chapter, you'll blow a horn that takes you to a new location to start the next chapter. And I thought that was really cool. You have a little ballast with you. You'll learn a lot more about that creature. I don't want to do any spoilers, but obviously the receding tide, there's kind of this whole thing of like, where has all of the water gone? And that's something that you're kind of wondering as you're going up and a part of the story. And they add in something new every chapter as well, whether it's wind, tendrils, like these bugs going up along that you can actually make your own little ballast. It kind of extends them when you like do this little ping. It like the tendrils like extend and you can kind of climb up those, and it gives you an extra way to go. And then there's bugs that you can grab onto and stuff. But yeah, as I said, new chapters add something new every time, which I thought was welcome, definitely, because it spices up the gameplay a little bit and kind of makes you think a little bit more about how you're going to get to the next location and get higher. And yeah, by the way, this is from Don't Nod, which I thought was interesting, because Don't Nod generally are noted for like really heavy dialogue based games, and this game doesn't have any dialogue at all. Like it only has like those little notes and stuff like that, which I thought was a really interesting direction for them to go to. And it's basically just an action advent. Well, I'm not even action, sorry, it's just an adventure puzzle game, a climbing puzzle game, basically. So a big part of the game is your stamina meter. You have to successfully manage your stamina. You can place like pythons into the wall as you're going up, so you don't lose all of your progress. And yeah, basically there's these things along the way that help you regain stamina, but yeah, you want to manage your stamina the whole time. So when you like get to a certain platform and you stand up, that's when you get all of your stamina back. But there's a lot of kind of periods of climbing for a long time where your stamina is getting drained, and so if you just keep jumping and from piece to piece, you'll lose your stamina and you'll eventually end up having to fall. But you're attached by a rope the whole time, and that's what I was saying. You can use the pythons to kind of make yourself lose less progress as you're going, but also your stamina is just such a huge factor in this game. You'll go higher and you'll kind of get more skillful, and you'll basically just have to figure out how to best use the tools at your disposal to get where you want to go. And there is like a lot of different routes you can take as you're going up as well. It's not like you're just limited to this linear path, and that's what makes it so enjoyable as well. There's a lot of different ways you can go up. Like say the tendril will be going one way, but there's also like a path that goes up and around that you can take and use the bugs and stuff like that. But the game as well is absolutely beautiful. So you're not in any sort of rush. Apart from the stamina, as I mentioned, you're not like rushed. You're kind of just climbing at your own pace. You're doing what you want to do, taking in the scenery as you go, and also like exploring a little bit. You can explore around, find a lot of those notes, find those seashells that give you kind of more context to the story in the world, which I think it's actually important that you look around and find some of those, because it really does add some much needed context to the world and makes the ending quite a bit more powerful when you get there as well. And yeah, I absolutely love the relationship you have with this little creature as well. You don't really interact with him too much in terms of words or anything like that, but you can just see that he's a wholesome little being, and he's called a ballast. He's a mysterious ballast, and you'll learn more about that creature as you go up through the story as well. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I thought the ending was really awesome. That was kind of the part that made me go, whoa, that was actually worth that whole kind of climbing experience. And the climbing experience is enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but it was worth the whole trip, even for the character, to get to the top. And I thought that it was a really cool ending, the way they did it. The soundtrack is absolutely great. Apologies if this review has been a little bit muddled, a little bit of a mess. I wanted to just get through it by not talking about those specific points, because I feel like it wouldn't have made sense with this game. But also, yeah, I've been showing gameplay of the game, I think from the first hour or so. I haven't showed anything past the first hour, just for spoiler reasons. If people are planning to play it, I don't want to show anything that will give away anything in the game at all. And yeah, as I said, the game is kind of similar to Only Up in the way that the idea of the game is to get to the top. It's your choice how you get there. Now, I'm not saying there's like loads of different paths you can take, but you can get there at your own pace. There's no like, if you fall down you lose all your progress like Only Up or anything like that, so you don't have to worry too much about that. It's not going to be sending you into an absolute rage, a fit of rage like Only Up did for me. But there is some moments definitely that were frustrating, especially at the start when I didn't really know how to manage the rope properly. That is like, you really need to learn at the start. You kind of have to take your time and learn how to do specific jumps across, double jumps, and remember those things that because it doesn't really, like, after, it'll tell you how to do stuff. It's not going to be like one of those games where like, oh, this is a ridiculously hard puzzle game. It'll definitely tell you how to do stuff and stuff like that. But if you forget or something like that, it can make certain sections of the game very difficult. So you really have to make sure that you know all of the abilities, and if you kind of don't remember them, maybe check out the controls again just to get used to it. And yeah, it shouldn't be like a difficult game to complete or anything. I had no trouble. I completed it maybe in like 6-7 hours, something like that. And yeah, by the end of it, as I said, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I think Jusant is a recommend for me. I know there's a lot of games out right now, a lot of heavy action based, crazy graphical masterpieces at the moment, so Jusant might slip under your radar. But if you have some time during the Christmas period, I'd highly recommend picking it up and checking it out. I don't think it's a full price title or anything like that. So this game comes out, I think, October 31st. If it's not October 31st, it's the start of November at some point. So yeah, not much of a scary Halloween game, but definitely one that you can play while you're doing other stuff or listening to podcasts. It's not like Alan Wake 2 or Spider-Man where you really have to be engaged with the game at all times, and you have to have your full focus on it. So this is a game that you could play maybe while you're doing other stuff or while you're working a little bit or something like that. So yeah, highly recommend checking it out. Give it a go, see what you think. And yeah, hopefully this review was helpful for you guys. apologies, as I said, that it was a little bit of a jumbled mess. Most of my reviews kind of have this specific playing plot that I go through piece by piece, but as I said, I didn't think it made much sense for this game. So thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. It's been my pleasure to serve you all, and love you all. Thank you. See you next time. Peace out.